And call this to order to do a 2-minute recess.
Please, Senor.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for braving the weather to make it here tonight. We really look forward to seeing your smiling faces. I call this meeting of the Central Florida Facilitators Club 9958 to order. If you have any phones or electronic devices that make noise, please put them on silent mode now. And speaking of electronic devices, Charlie was just on his, and he got word that our Toastmaster is parking. So at this point, Charlie, what do you think? A two-minute or a 5-minute?
2 minutes. You should be here in a second.
We're going to take a 2-minute delay.
Depends how long he has to wait for the elevator.
Well, they make it 4 minutes.
Oh, good. Well, Charlie, why don't you do yourself first? And
Okay.
Just keep going.
All right, forget the delay. I now welcome our president, Charlie Victor Baudelaire, to the lectern.
Thank you. Okay. A quote from Dr. Seuss. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Please let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and welcome to Central Florida Facilitators Club 9958. And I know that we have a packed room here today, so try to keep the noise down. One thing that I do want to bring up, so you all think about it, and then we'll bring it up again at the end of the meeting. It is time to really think about officers. And I think Mr. Jonathan should volunteer for something.
He didn't volunteer for something.
Are you going to really do what you said?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Sergeant at Arms. That'll be 2 years in a row.
Gloria, would you consider being an officer?
Not right now, because I really don't have the time and I don't want to commit. Sorry.
Okay.
I know.
Boo. Hi, Maureen.
Hi,
Hello, Maureen.
Cece's already been here.
And I see that we have a guest.
We do?
Oh, no, I need glasses. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need glasses on.
Yeah.
Another glass of
We
wine.
got another wine. More wine. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you first.
Yeah. It's Maureen walking in
But
here.
seriously, we need to have some officers to run for,
We don't have the agenda.
for June.
Our Toastmasters.
Before we have to twist arms, please consider running for an officer. Since our Toastmaster's not here yet, is there any business that needs to be brought up? Anybody has in mind to bring up?
Certainly, guys. All rock stars are everywhere.
No problem.
Right,
Nancy.
let me have one of those, please. Sit anywhere, but you gotta distribute those out.
Yeah.
Please.
I know.
Thank you.
Thanks to our Toastmaster that just showed up. We're safe for the bell.
Sir.
Your notes said
Do we
Michelle,
have
we asked
all
to
the
make sure that we have a
functions prepared here?
Yeah, you're right on target.
For Marion, Maureen, she's here.
packet.
Alan's here. Toni's
Timer's
here.
Toni. But she probably just.
Timer.
Tony, can you be timer?
Toni, is there a plug over there? I'll pull it over.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be
There's
one.
a long cord on there, and there's also another extension cord in the back room.
Is Stephen walking here?
Looks like all the speakers
Oh,
are
the
here.
supervisor's election.
Yeah, I can double up, I can move over.
It's awesome.
All the evaluators. Good. We have everybody here.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
It's Stephen Walking, and I never got confirmation.
Yeah,
All the songs that's gonna.
Oh, you can use yours if you'd like.
Oh,
Go ahead, feel free to use yours.
I'll use yours for.
Don't get too comfortable.
Good, right?
Okay, well, timer is ready. Okay, please help me welcome our Toastmasters for today, or tonight. Daddy Gritty, it's his first time, and he did an excellent job, as you can see by the work that he brought in. Please help me welcome our Toastmasters for tonight. Roy, I can't find your last name.
Wait.
But I thought
He doesn't have his glasses, Mark.
Well, you just breeze through, call to order without the pledge, you just breeze right through that.
well, we started before you were here.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Sorry I'm late, but what else would you expect? It's my first time being Toastmaster, I'm a rookie. And the theme is rock and roll. I mean, am I supposed to be on time and organized? Come on.
Not necessarily.
All right, so let's see, we're missing Stephen Block, so I wanted to get that squared away. Stephen's not here, right?
I'm going to be the supervisor collection and vote counter.
All right, awesome. Multitasking, let's step up.
Well, Nikki has all those actions.
I think everybody else is squared away. Everybody else is here, right? All right, so rock and roll. I love the quote from Point Break. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. When Patrick Swayze goes, "Little hand says it's time to rock and roll." Music's always been a major influence in my life.
I don't think there's 3 evaluators.
What are you talking about? We're all here.
Yeah.
Who's the 3rd evaluator?
Charlie.
Right there next to
He's
me.
I didn't think he did anything. I just thought he opened the meeting.
He just comes up for 30 seconds in the beginning.
Yes,
At 30 is, yeah.
kind of like our children.
That's why he wants everyone else to.
Sit back there. So anyways, music, like many of you probably, music's always been a major influence in my life. It's made me hard when I need to be hard. It's calmed me down when I need to be soft. And after trying to learn how to play every single music instrument under the sun throughout the course of my life, I have a lot of respect and appreciation. And see, rock is something as art, something that takes real talent, dedication, and or lots of hard drugs. While I really do enjoy all genres of music, I was particularly fond of rock music, from the soothing sound of a guitar riff to a simple ballad, which to this day still ignites vibrant memories growing up in Northern Virginia. Rock and roll has a rich, deep history and a significant influence on millions of people, far more extensive than my simple days growing up in Northern Virginia. The impact of rock and roll was felt by the masses in the 1950s, even though it got its roots prior to that. It was described as a mixture of electric, blues, boogie, jazz, gospel, R&B, and country, both heavily influenced by African Americans and whites, which I did not know. So during the time rock and roll came about, it really was a dividing force and a uniting force within our country. It pitted parents and government against wild teenagers, and at the same time helped erode some of the prejudices felt towards African Americans. Parents disliked the fact that the music came directly from African Americans, regardless of whether it was a white performer who recorded the song, and they disliked the rebellious nature that the music was accused of inspiring. White teenagers listened to music not just inspired, but often performed by African Americans. By doing this, they embraced a part of the culture that was generally forbidden. They went to concerts where performers and parts of the audiences were black. They watched movies such as Blackboard Jungle in 1955 that showcased integration, and schools inspired youth to question authority. In the 1950s, rock and roll was able to do what jazz couldn't when it created a common culture amongst whites and black teenagers. In 1955, for you historians out there, rock had its first nationwide #1 hit single with Billy Haley's Rock Around the Clock, and in 1956, rock had its first #1 album on the billboards with Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel. So that's enough of my history lesson for now. We're going to move on in to the Rockin' 50 Functionaries. So let me go ahead and introduce our Functionaries. And I don't know if the word of the day has been spoken yet, but we have Maureen Martin as our grammarian.
Hi everyone. As grammarian, I have chosen the word of the day, which is, and I find it fitting because it's rock and roll. It's the word guitar. I'm going over guitar, and I can use the sentence in saying that the sweet sound of the guitar fills the room. And continue, I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. For clubs will find those who have the chance to speak and do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the evening, I will report on grammar usage and suggest where I see improvements can be made. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm sorry, what was the word today? Guitar, okay. And there's a nice little line on the agenda for you to write guitar in case you forget. Nice and convenient. All right, thank you, Maureen. Now introducing the timer, we have Toni Gills.
Thank you. One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As the timer, I'm responsible for monitoring the time of the speakers, table topics, speakers, and the evaluators. As far as our speakers are concerned, your time requirement is 5 to 7 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Table topics is 1 to 2 minutes. Evaluators, you have 2 to 3 minutes. You all know how the lights work. You know how the lights work, Maureen? No. You don't? They go on at minimum 5?
Yeah, that's all right.
You do know? You're teasing me?
Yeah.
I come back, you're teasing me?
A lot of experience.
That's what you get for going away.
I know.
She was even timer once.
That's great. Okay, so that's it. I'm watching you. And you better be watching the lights. And there's a guitar in here somewhere. Woo! I don't know. I'm a little rusty.
Thank you, Toni. All right, and pulling double duty for us this evening is Alan Lampier. I don't know if you want to start with, I'll counter first and then move into your vote counter responsibilities.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. In order to improve the quality of our speech, the outcounter's job is to make us aware of disruptive audible crutches such as and you know, and double clutches, which is repetition of a word while the speaker searches for the next stop. I will also note sentences strung together with phrase words such as and, so, or like. I will sound a buzzer when I hear any of these infractions. Please note this is not to cause embarrassment, but to get immediate feedback on an area that needs improvement. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not given their icebreaker speech will not be fined or buzzed. I will keep track of their infractions. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. I'll also be listening for our word of the day, which is guitar. So, I know I had to throw that in. Okay, so as your vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, thank you, Alan. Speakers, would any of you not like to be buzzed while you're giving your speech? Would you like Alan to put it on mute?
We won't be able to use it.
All right, fair game for Jonathan Reagan Dunn tonight. All right. Now, the only change I see in the agenda is Alan pulling double duty for odd counter and vote counter. Everything else staying the same?
And
My speech is number 5, actually,
Oh,
not 6.
thank you.
And I've informed the evaluator.
All right, thank you very much. In the 1960s, rock music comes of age and dominates the national music charts. I believe this may have been the decade associated with free love, free flowing marijuana, and Woodstock, perhaps.
I confirm.
Were you there?
Thank you. Before my time. By 1964, American rock bands are starting to share the stage with British rock bands, such as the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Social consciousness and political statements begin to challenge pop ballads and love songs as rock and roll's identity in psychedelic music reflects the growing hippie culture. Can I get a confirmation on that, Toni?
Absolutely.
Thank you. All in all, it looks like the Beatles dominated the 1960s. They had 6 of the top 10 best-selling albums throughout the world. That's absolutely incredible when I saw that. With the #1 album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, and their hit song, Hey Jude, was the #1 single of the 1960s. So now we'll go ahead and move into our prepared speeches for the evening.
Yeah.
We are fortunate to have quite a show for us with no buzzer whatsoever, apparently. Did you have an intro?
Yes, I sent it to you. Yes, I did. I sent it to you.
Leading us off.
Oh, it was a good one.
Leading us off. She has an adamant love for children and giving back, and is extremely grateful for everything that she's been blessed with and everything she's able to provide for. Secretly, she has a secret love for punk rock, metal rap, and ska. Please welcome our first presenter, Gloria.
How about that Stairway to Heaven with that guitar? That's really something for those of you who know that song. So, what I'd like for you all to do is just imagine that you're 17 years old. And this speech that I'm going to give, I've given 2 times already, just this week, to a young group of students. So imagine that you're 17, you're a junior in high school, getting ready to graduate. I mean, you'll be a senior next year, all right? So my speech, what I want to tell you all is that you are working on your life resume right now, your life. So as I speak, I'm going to give you 3 points that you can use when you're preparing for your resume, all right? So what I want you to do subconsciously is think of yourself when you're 60 years old. What is that resume going to look like? Now, I know 60 is ancient, but for some of us, it's not too far away. But just imagine, what accomplishments do you want to have? What do you want to do with your education? How do you want to give back to the community? So the first item to think about is responsibility. Right now, each of you is responsible for anything that comes out of your mouth, any action you take, anything you write, anything you author. You are responsible and no one else. You can't blame your brother, you can't blame your friends. You are 101% responsible. So therefore, you have to be careful who you hang around with, all right? Some of you, I know you have friends that make you laugh. I had friends that made me laugh. My best friend, Cece, I had to get away from her, so she started doing drugs. I didn't want to go that route. I know a lot of you have good friends that you like to party with and have fun with, but try looking at friends that you want to hang around with that's going to lift you up, that's going to help you with your career and the choices that you make. So, there was a young girl, oh, sorry. You guys make me more nervous. All right, so we all know a lot of, I'm just going to keep this. We all know a lot of famous people that made bad choices. Look at Aaron Hernandez. Where is he? He had it made in the shade. He was a Gator, played football, was signed up for professional football, and then what does he do? murder. Here are some other murderers. Ryan Leaf, he was a baseball player. Mike Danton. And I tried to pick all different kinds of athletes. He was a hockey player. Pete Rose, everybody, baseball. And then someone named Esteban de Jesus, he was a boxer. All murderers, all hung around the wrong people. All of them had very, very good careers, but then they messed it up by making bad decisions. So let me ask you all a question. So when your parents tell you to clean your room, what does that mean? Your parents, your guardian, whoever you live with, clean your room. Tell me, what specifically does that mean to you? Anyone?
Clean it.
Tony?
It means they're bothering me.
Pardon me?
It means they're bothering me.
I'm sorry.
They're bothering me
Oh,
to do something I don't want to do.
Oh, okay. But I mean, what actions do you take if you clean your room?
It's a responsibility.
Right, it's a responsibility. So you'll vacuum. You'll put up your clothes, correct? Now let me tell you what an overachiever would do. He would take the sheets and put them in the laundry, vacuum, might go into the drawers and rearrange what the clothes that are in there. And the other thing that they might do too is mop or sweep, and they might even rearrange the furniture. Now that's an overachiever, all right? You may be an overachiever. Do you know someone that's an overachiever? You all probably know, and maybe it's you. Maybe you're the one that's an overachiever. All right, let's take it to work now. Let me back up. Let's take it to school. You have a paper due Friday. Today's Wednesday, correct? How many of you, honestly, are going to start working on it Thursday evening? Just raise your hand. Okay. Okay. Some of you are real good in planning, and others, we like to do things at the last minute. Now, the overachiever, when they turn in that paper, it's going to have a cover letter, and it's going to have graphs, and it's going to be in a folder, really nice. So when you turn it in, again, like I said, it's your life. Your name's on that. And your teacher knows what kind of paper you're going to turn in. All right? You may be a C student, but you can always surprise them. Now let's take it to work. So when I asked this question, actually to two groups, one person, he thought it was funny, he said when he cleans his room, he puts everything underneath his bed. And then the whole class is laughing, thinking it's so funny. But you know what? That's a person that likes to take shortcuts, right? He has to do work 2 times, at least 2 times, to get it right. Now, who in here would like to be in a group? It's you and 5 other people, and they all 5 like to take shortcuts. Who would like to be that person? Who would like to be in that group? No, exactly. Because you know what? You want to get that bonus. Maybe you get a bonus for completing that project. And if you have someone that likes to do rework, you know, that's not good. And someone even stated, the people that do rework don't even want to be in the group with somebody like them. So just keep that in mind, an overachiever. I know I've shared this with this class or this group already, but my boss, when I worked for AT&T, they said, whatever you invest in Gloria, you will get it back 5-fold. That's what you want. You want to do your best and succeed in whatever it is that you're doing, so that they will invest dollars in you. And share once again, that's how I got my undergraduate. That's how I got my MBA from the Executive MBA program at Rollins. So responsibility. There's also common courtesy, respect, and civility that falls under responsibility. You don't have to have money to be a lady or a gentleman, all right? It's okay to pull a chair out. It's okay to open a door for someone. And I beg to differ because I've been to Jones High School, and those kids call me ma'am, and they have a lot more respect for me than a lot of schools, other schools that I've been to. So it doesn't matter your background or anything. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have money to be a gentleman or a lady. Okay, the next item is networking and goal setting, right? It's not who you know, but who knows you. All right, so let me tell you a story. There was a young girl, true story, at Evans High School, and she was working with a millionaire with junior achievement, and after she was done with him, he asked her, what about you? And she said 4 things. I know I want to go to the University of Florida. I know I want to be an architect. I know that I don't have any money. I have to go on financial aid. He wrote on a piece of paper, I owe you $10,000. True story. Then he went home and talked to his wife, and they upped it to $20,000. So here, this girl was really smart. She already got into University of Florida. But because of the networking and her ready with her elevator speech, she was able to get that, she was able to get blessed with those gifts of $20,000. If some of us that remember Cheshire Cat in Alice in the Wonderland. So you get to a fort, Cheshire Cat is standing there, and Alice says, "Which way do I go?" And Cheshire Cat says, "Well, where are you going?" And she says, "I don't know." Alice says, "I don't know." And so then Cheshire Cat says, "Well, then it doesn't matter, just pick one." That's the way you don't want your career to be. Because I'll tell you, if you don't decide and you don't plan, somebody else will do it for you. Okay? So now the third thing is give back to the community. All right? At the end of the day, let's say you're 60 years old. Let's say you live for another 20 years and you're 80 years old. You know what? Don't leave the money to anyone. Just give it away. Give it to a nonprofit, or give it to a needy family, or give it to someone that just lost their job. So at this time, I would like for you all to take out a sheet of paper. I know. Okay. That's the first time someone's ever done that to me. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. You officially got cut off.
I know. Yeah.
That's a cane. All right, let's give us 1 minute on the clock for comments.
Oh yeah, I did. I saw green and red. That's it.
That's actually a boy in church.
That's where it says Mark getting inside.
That was me being humorous.
And I get like that too.
By the way, guys, just for clarity, I think these next two speeches are CC number 2, and it's organizer speech, right?
Yes.
Okay, just for the evaluators, in case you weren't aware of that. All right, up next on the agenda, she's a goal-driven professional. She kept her promise to attend Toastmaster class on a weekly basis and is here to rock the house, y'all.
Yay! Yay!
She's taking proactive steps to take on the second project from her CC manual, no pun intended there, where she loves that sense of accomplishment. She knows that her club is very proud of her and will continue to cheer her on. Presenting to us, we have, not Martha Stewart, but Cece Ward, who will embrace the podium while she delivers survival tips for accomplishing your laundry. After all, she warns you must wear clean underwear to class. No excuses, that includes you, Jonathan Raymond Dunn. Welcome, Cece Ward.
Oh my gosh, not again! Laundry, I hate doing laundry, guys. I have no clothes left for tomorrow. Nothing to wear. Good evening, ladies, Mr. Toastmasters, and guests. And I'm sure at least 1, 2, or at least 3 of you guys also do not like to do laundry. So yes, I will join the crowd. So let's get a grip, suck it up, and let's get to work. All of us can relate to these daily, weekly routines. Wearing these clothes, soiling them, throwing them all over the place, under the kitchen desk, under the basket table, under the bed, on the bathroom floor. You know what I mean. We do this, don't we? But fortunately, I have 3 reasons why there are bottlenecks in our laundry system at home. And I will share with you at least 1 or 2 solutions so that we can get by of these challenges. The first bottleneck is ownership. Actually, who is responsible for your laundry at home? Mom, dad, son, uncle, grandma, grandpa, or yourselves? If nobody takes responsibility, the laundry will not get done efficiently or in time so that you can get an outfit for the next day. There must be a designated person, so pick someone or pick on yourself. Do it. Get it done. The second reason for another bottleneck in our laundry system at work is the execution. The person who has the responsibility will not get it done because 1, lack of time, procrastination, or lack of organization, or simply they don't like doing it. One of the solutions that can be done is find the person, use a calendar, pick a date that may be realistic or flexible to your daily schedule, and make it realistic. If it is a child, remind that child ever so often that he or she has laundry to do. You can even make it a game. Time him or her, and then give him some rewards at some time on an ongoing basis until he's, big enough, like a teenager. You don't really need to give them reward. Have them do it and stick to them and have them continue doing it on a regular basis. The third bottleneck in our laundry system at home is infrastructure. And by that I mean it is a designated place that somewhere we choose in our house, whether it may be on the couch, placing clothes on the bed, on the kitchen table, some nook in the wall where you can find it fitting and out of your way, or even on the floor, or anywhere that it will fit. Most of the time, these bundles of clothes will get crushed, walked over, smooshed in, and just piled in together with the dirty clothes. And before you know it, the dirty ones will be with the clean ones, and all of a sudden you'll be all piled up again, and you'll be smelling funky, dirty clothes that you found under the bed 2 weeks ago. However, you need to make a choice, guys. Why not invest yourself in some tools by purchasing an inexpensive folding table? Why not purchase a wash and dryer stackable kind so that you'll have space? It's such a great space saver. There are very great space. This is distracting, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, as I continuously hate doing laundry, I have no choice but to continue doing them. I make it such a game for me where I tie myself from beginning to end to make sure that it is done on a timely basis. I even purchase different colors of hamsters, different color of waste baskets so that I can stack my laundry. I've bribed my daughter to even do my portion for me. In any case, I've tackled and owned up to my own responsibility. I've executed by putting someone in charge of the laundry, and I've found creative ways by purchasing different color bins. please feel free to use some of my suggestions. They're great, I think, as I presented to you. And the next time you're doing laundry at home, you can use your guitar, have somebody play it, and just rock and roll with it, and your laundry will get done in no time. And an ultimate suggestion I have for you would be to add a laundry service to your monthly budget, and then you can call me. Thank you, Mr. President.
1 minute on the clock, please.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
You guys are having way too much fun out there.
We got more underwear on the ground there.
Another underwear.
In preparation for me coming up.
That was a Kodak moment.
Gloria said just push it under the table.
1 minute.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our third speaker. I was just handed some chicken scratch, so I'll do my best. This guy is bigger than AC/DC. Put your hands together for a rock star, at least in his own mind. Jonathan Reagan Dunn, as he plays an award-winning hit from his latest album, I mean latest Broken Marriage, seventh last count. You know those rock stars. Here he is with Who Rescued Who by Jonathan Reagan Dunn.
If any one of you had known me as a young man and had told me, "Hey John, you're going to discover the meaning of your life from a dog," I would have looked at you and thought, cuckoo, cuckoo. However, many years ago, my wife Cece and I, we were sitting in our backyard and we were talking about life and why it always seemed like there was something missing. And as we were talking that morning, a family of deer came running into the backyard. There was a mom, there was a dad, and there was this little baby deer. And the talk quickly shifted from the serious to the proclamation by Stacy. Oh my God, look at that little baby deer. It's so adorable. That's what's missing. We need something fluffy. We need to get a puppy. Hey, I knew the rules of being a great husband. And I simply responded, "Yes, dear." And the very next morning, Stacy and I were sitting smack dab in the middle of the home of a puppy foster mom. Her name was Susan, and she had this weird kind of northeastern accent in honor of the day. She was kind of growling some instructions at us. "Have a seat here on the couch, Mr. and Mrs. Dunn. I'm going to bring in Chi-Chi, and we're going to see if you two would be a good fit." I was sitting there. I was so excited. I mean, as strange as life was, maybe this was what was missing. What happened next? It certainly changed life forever. Chi-Chi didn't come running into the room like a normal puppy would have. She came in slowly, scared. She was shaking from head to toe. Cece made it up to my hand. But unlike a normal puppy, she wasn't waiting to be rubbed. She came up to my hand waiting for me to abuse her like her previous owner had done time and time again. That poor puppy was so scared that she had an accident all over herself. Tears were flooding down my eyes. I looked over at Cece and her result was the same. We nodded in agreement and we knew that we wanted to take her pain away. And Susan, seeing the tears from across the room, spoke to us. I see you're two very sensitive people, and I will allow you to rescue Cece on one condition only. All you can do is give her love. It was the easiest decision we ever made. And we signed on the dotted line and we began our lives together. And over the course of the next few months, Stacy and I showered that little puppy dog with all the love we could. We even used to take her for walks around the neighborhood, and we would get low down, and we would talk all sweet and doggy talk to her. Cece would just kind of look at us and do her best to reciprocate. Her reciprocation was usually having accidents on herself. Cece was blind to all of the love that was in her life, and she was blinded by crippling pain. I didn't care though. This giving a little defenseless creature all the love I could, it was the one thing I had ever found that finally gave me inner peace. I hadn't even known I was looking for it, and there it was. My wife, on the other hand, wasn't quite as successful. She had been introduced to marijuana by her father at 12 years old. And she had been battling a 20-year addiction silently. And with her father's recent passing, her drug use escalated up here. And I lost my wife. And it left me every bit as broken as that little puppy dog. Fortunately for me, on my 40th birthday, something amazing would happen. Beep, beep, beep! At 4 o'clock in the morning was how my day started with my alarm clock. And I took that alarm clock, mad at the world, and I smashed it into a wall into 1,000 little pieces because that is how my life felt. I went to gather Cece up into her carrying case, and she must have been startled by all the noise, and she had had multiple accidents that morning. I wanted to send her back to Susan and experience this grief all by myself. Except that's when I heard Susan's voice. All you can do is give love. And I knew that's what I had to do. So I gathered up Cece's carrying case and we went to work. Except when I made it to my second floor office suite, my plan failed. And my legs buckled under the weight of the grief. And I fell to the ground and I began to sob. And quite frankly, I thought I was going to die that morning. I heard something fierce. And as I sobbed, I saw Cece staring back at me in her carrying case. Except her eyes were telling me something different. They were telling me, let me out of here. I'm ready to love you like you've loved me. And I unzipped that case, and that dog with purpose in her life sprung out of there as fast as she could, and she showered me with so much love. I lifted up off that ground so high, I could have stood on a mountaintop. And I asked myself, at this very moment, who rescued whom? In the words of Susan, all you can do is give love. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, if you want to see your life really transform, go out today and give all the love you can. Because Cece and I will tell you, life is about love. Mr. Toastmaster.
actually a pretty cool song.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Jitterbug.
Can we get a, go ahead and get a timers report, please, sir?
We had 3 speakers this evening, all requesting 5 to 7 minutes. Gloria Esteban spoke for 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Cece Ward, 6 minutes, 11 seconds, and John Dunn, 7 minutes, 15 seconds. The voting will be between Cece and John.
Thank you, Toni. We'll go ahead and vote for best speaker. Alan will make his way around the room. By the time the 1970s rolled around, rock and roll bands were legendary. Instead of playing in bars or clubs, they were playing in stadiums. Instead of traveling by bus, they took private jets. The early 70s saw a rough patch as the Beatles broke up and the deaths of Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison sent shockwaves throughout the rock and roll universe. Psychedelic music declines and morphs into hard rock. Reggae music moves out of Jamaica and takes the world by storm. Disco, tight pants, and mustaches dominate the nightclubs. Big-time heavy-hitter bands like the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd emerge as rock heavyweights. Simon & Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water is the #1 album of the 1970s. The next portion of our meeting we're going to enter into is table topics. Our table topics master this evening has the skills to pay the bills. As a kid, she toured all summer with Def Leppard after winning the world's greatest fan event, even opening one night as an impromptu solo act. She has been to 17 Motley Crue concerts and is a self-professed Winger fan. Introducing rock queen goddess and distinguished Toastmaster, serving as our table topics master this evening. Please welcome Susan Morgan.
Okay, everyone here knows what table topics is, so I won't go into the details. Let me see how we're doing on time. Okay. Let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start with, let's see, Barry Manilow is known for his song, I Write the Songs, and John Denver is known for Thank God I'm a Country Boy, as well as This Old Guitar. What would be the title of your song and why? Let's see. Mark.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. What would my song title be? Well, growing up in a Lackery household, I used to get a lot of inspirational words from my dad. He used to have the saying, Mark, if you build it, it will fall apart eventually. So that would be the title of my song. It would be Lift Me Up Through My Multiple Failures. I remember back in '78, I was opening up for Def Leppard as well. And there was a rocking house. I had the guitar on my back. Everything was ready to go. The fog lights were on. The dry ice was covering the stage. And I walked out on stage, are you ready to rock? And everybody was, and I forgot to plug my guitar into the amplifier. And the image of my dad appeared. And in his immortal words, if you build it, it will fall apart. So I guess that would be the title of my song, Madam Table Topics.
Who is your favorite rock and roll band or singer? Let's see. Let's go for Maureen. What is your favorite rock and roll band or singer?
Thank you. My favorite rock band. I'm not a rock person.
Make it.
I'll sing. Well, I had, I don't know. 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 I don't know Elvis Presley then, because I heard about him so much as a rock person. And not being my favorite, but I like his songs, and because he had so much energy, and he was a funny person, you know, when he sings, especially when he hit that guitar and with his moves and everything. And I know up until today he has been dead for I don't know how many years, but he's still on the minds and around with that, and on everybody's mind, I guess. So I guess that's it. I don't know what else. Thank you.
Let's see.
I heard that.
Okay, we can do
For
that.
the table topics next.
Weird Al Yankovic parodies popular songs. What song would you parody and what would you make it about? Alan.
All right. This is Toastmaster. I'm going to field this with the previous one and this one because, crazy enough, my first musical influence was Weird Al Yankovic. So, yeah. One of the funny things, I don't know how this ever transpired, but one of the funny things they had in a music class when I was in grade school, you could select a song if we were good, and then the music player would play it. So, of course, I always brought in Weird Al, and then for some reason, that was back when I didn't care and wasn't afraid to be in front of people and all that kind of thing. I used to actually act out the songs, and everybody thought that was the best thing. So, I had his albums, you know, with you know, rated as fat instead of bad, and another one rides the bus instead of another one bites the dust. That was really cool. So that's my whole Weird Al Yankovic thing. And also for my favorite band, of course, I'm rocking the shirt tonight, is AC/DC. I had a couple of different phases as I was growing up. The first was the Weird Al Yankovic phase, which was probably from, I don't know, first, second grade to about fourth grade. And then right around that time period when, you know, there was MC Hammer and the Vanilla Ice thing going on, I had both their tapes. And then, but at the same time, my brother, he got exposed to AC/DC because that's right when the Razor's Edge came out. Of course, being his little brother, then I listened to it, and then ever since I heard that, it was game over. So I was an AC/DC fan throughout the rest of my life. They are my favorite band as of today. If I'm ever not with it, all I need to do is throw in Hell's Bells or Super Thrill, Back in Black, and I am ready to get it. So,
all right.
Thank you, madam.
Let's see. If you could meet any rock and roll singer or band, who would it be and why? Toni.
Well, friends. I would like to meet Frank Sinatra before he passes. Because he sang the most beautiful songs that I could dance to. I could foxtrot, and I could waltz in my young days. And now that I'm getting older, it's much harder. But he remains in my heart forever. And someday, I know that I will see him again. It may not be here on earth, but it will be somewhere, you know where, right? It will be up there, because he's a good man. And he made great music. And I'm going to dance to him on May 31st. You were all invited at 1 to 3 p.m. to my mom's 98th birthday party. Wow. And I promise you, she will be there. Man of table topics.
Okay, and that is enough for table topics this evening. Please help me welcome back your Toastmaster, Roy.
Good job. Can we get a timers report, and then we'll go ahead and vote for best table topics speaker.
We had Mark talking about the title of his song for 58 seconds. Maureen, favorite rock and roll band. She talked about Elvis. Alan Lamford talked for, oh, did I say Maureen? 1 minute and 2 seconds. Alan, 2 minutes and 13 seconds. He answered every question that was asked. Toni, who would you like to be your favorite rock and roll star? For 101.
She qualified.
So we have the voting between Maureen, Alan, and Toni.
All right, please go ahead and vote for best table topics master.
Speaker.
I'm sorry, speaker.
I think I was the best table topics master tonight.
And then Alan, if you could go around and pick up the votes when you get a chance. In the 1980s, the prevalence of music videos was an imperative marketing tool. Many new rock genres gained popularity, such as heavy metal, hair bands, new wave, rap, and hip hop. The number of successful female artists across the genres becomes very apparent. In the 90s, alternative rock, punk rock, and grunge grow exponentially popular and become mainstream. Alternative bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Smashing Pumpkins find success, while grunge bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam serve as a bridge between classic rock and today's modern rock. New genres continue to split and evolve, such as rap metal, rockcore, ska, Gloria's personal favorite, such as Limp Bizkit. Electronic music continues to grow, with house and trance splitting into new styles. It's evolved so many times into so many different genres and spin-offs, I just can't keep up with it these days. I just stick to my old stuff from the 80s and 90s at this point. And that brings us to the end of our show this evening as we move into our reviews and evaluations. This man needs no formal introduction. Imagine a frontman whose stage presence is so commanding that when he takes the stage, tens of thousands of fans erupt in thunderous cheering. Imagine an axeman whose hands and fingers are so fast, when he shreds and licks up and down the guitar, the strings are actually start smoking. Well, our general evaluator this evening is neither of these people, but he did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Please put your hands together for General Evaluator, Marcus Van Halen.
What's up? Baltimore Springs! We're gonna do a little experiment here. Alan, you're on this side of the room. Maureen, you're on this side of the room. This side of the room. Hey! Hey! Ho! Ho! Hey! Hey! Ho! This is what I expected. We have a lot of hoes in the room. We don't have any guests here this evening. So I don't even know what my role as a general evaluator is, but I will give an evaluation of the meeting in general. So we're going to rock right on to our evaluations for the speeches. Our next Toastmaster is ready to rock and roll her way into the first evaluation of the evening. She is excited to provide feedback to Gloria's speech and give her some rockin' great ideas to move forward with. Please help me welcome our first evaluator, Toastmaster Sarah Hunt.
Thank you, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, no guests, Gloria. Thank you for your speech. I like the opening. Imagine that you're 17, so we can go back and visualize and remember that, and then we can look forward to that 60 and beyond and look at the gaps of what we can do better. I would recommend you take out the comment, your very first comment was Stairway to Heaven. It was a response to the intro. And that can just throw you off where you can stall in the middle of your intro. I loved the points were rich in the sense of you're describing your life resume. And so the responsibility, networking, goal setting, giving back, they were great points. 80% was spent in the responsibility, and then the other areas didn't get much attention, so shorten it, or have 2 or 3 points. I also liked you asked questions and brought the audience in. I would be clear on the exact question. If you have to write it down, that is very helpful. Some areas to improve, since this was about Your Body Speaks. It was the project number 5. So the gestures were good. You used a lot of this, and the upper body was good. I noticed there was a lot of this, lots of finger pointing, and I would like to have seen just more use of the hands in different ways. There was time when the hand was behind the back, and it stayed behind the back, and you need to use everything. So there were some points about lifting up. You could have just raised those hands and actually get up on your tiptoes and use your body in more ways. And also the manual talks about moving around the room. So you did usually use this section of the stage. You could have said, for example, the point about, do you want to take shortcuts? Do you guys want to take shortcuts? Or do you want to be in this group who does not take shortcuts? And this is the moving forward group. So you can move, and Mark did a good example of the stuff he just did, and moved across the room. So you have to plan for that and know in your speech when those parts are going to happen, and that will make it more effective. Overall, I thought that a good topic that can bring a lot of good messages, and you can certainly do this over and over and over again to different audiences. So I would add this speech to your Toastmaster resume, and next we've got the vocal variety. Thank you, General Evaluator.
For that rocking eval, Sarah. A nice Bon Jovi reference, by the way, with Raise Your Hands like that. I grew up with Kiss. My stepbrother was a Led Zeppelin fan, but I didn't get into Led Zeppelin. I was Kiss, Motley Crue, Judas Priest, all that, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. So I love meetings with this theme. Our next evaluator took piano lessons for 6 years until he was kicked out. In high school, he began writing lyrics and then songs, which led him to choir. At the University of Florida, he continued his musical pursuits, including joining Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia, the professional music fraternity. Today, he has a few songs to his name, and he knows the value of feedback and encouragement. Here to provide both, please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan.
Laundry. Do we really have to go there? Well, apparently we've got to get a grip, suck it up, and get to work, as Cece has told us. Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, this is when we get to hear about the ordinary. And as you told us, Cece, we needed to take ownership to execute and to provide that infrastructure. You took ownership, of course, right off the bat, saying we are going to be talking about this. And then you went right through and talking about it, despite all of the various wearing, soiling, and throwing that went on right at the very beginning onto the floor. And you threw it all right out for us to see, airing the dirty laundry, if you will. You had a great job with your execution, whereas you were on time with the actual speech target itself, and you weren't doing any of the real procrastinating. And you had the motivation, clearly. For you had the motivation to put everything together. And even though you had the notes in prep, you were still managing to put all of your arm movements into it. The points, you just looked at the notes when you needed to come back to where you were headed to. Therefore, you clearly had put those parts together. For suggestions, I could have tossed out there on the conclusion. I could have said you had a good conclusion. I love the way you ended up with the let's go with the laundry service, and you pulled in even the guitar reference to pull it all together. I would have wondered if there's a way to do more of a recap, more of a punch, more of a bigger enthusiasm in the ending was what I was thinking. Especially the way you tossed out the laundry at the beginning, you were certainly going for humor, and humor when you're talking about something as ordinary and unappealing, the humor is a great way to keep us more engaged and even to perhaps take up what you're suggesting, more of it. The laundry is a great part. Maybe if you want to, maybe you just need to start throwing it on some people's heads at the rate we're going. But of course, there's also the aspects of distraction where you noticed at one point, and as will happen with any performance, you're going to have to find a way to get through those distractions, and if you can ignore them, if the audience will ignore them, and if you can't ignore it, or if the audience won't, acknowledge and simply move through. And you didn't let it strip you up that much, you went on perfectly fine. Your infrastructure made that possible. With your infrastructure, you had clearly planned everything out. You had the notes there to prove it, and you had the structure there in place to have everything organized, which is great because this is the Organize Your Speech project. So in terms of the exact targets for this speech, you nailed it. Right on the head. Therefore, since you gave us the idea for the laundry service, that's definitely for the way to make the home laundry fast, easy, as you had suggested with your title. So perhaps what we need now is a good evaluation service. I wonder when we can come up with that idea. Mr. General Evaluator.
Our third evaluator considers the evaluation part of the meeting one of the most important aspects of Toastmasters. Imagine the great opportunities that evaluators have in having the chance to help a fellow Toastmaster achieve their goals and at the same time improve your speaking skills. A win-win situation. Please help me welcome Charlie Bombalier, evaluating Jonathan Dunn.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmaster, and Mr. Dunn. Be lucky that I didn't bring my guitar tonight. Since this is your last shot, before you go in your contest, I believe, right? This is it next week. You're going for your final, almost final shot. So I'm going to get a little serious with you because I want to use everybody's ideas if anyone else picked up something that can help you. When you start your speech, I don't know if you did that in purpose because it was kind of funny at the beginning, but I've noticed this a couple times when you've done the speech. You have a smile on your face when you say, if any one of you, actually I think you should really start really serious because that's going to grab the attention of everybody right at the beginning. One of the things that you did excellent was when you said what was missing, the part when you said what was missing at the end, and then you took a nice long pause. When you said, had an accident over herself, your voice was loud at that time. Where I think if you applied the lower tone, I mean almost to a whisper, because that's such a sad event. When you said also inner peace, you need to pause on that. Let us absorb your feelings. Another time that you did a great pause, when you said to all of us, when because of the drug, blah, 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 and I lost my wife. Your voice went down, and then you paused and gave everyone a shot at absorbing that. My life felt, try to pause a little bit longer on that, because you went right into something else again, and you didn't give us the time to feel your emotions. You said another time, begin sobbing. I think you meant to say begin sobbing. I really, that's just my opinion. I don't like that so much. It doesn't impact you. And maybe you can just think about saying when I begin feeling the tears running down my face, and almost just stop right there. When you say all you can do is give love, try to pause a little longer. We want to feel that. And life is about love. That's the time that you really need to pause and like count to 5 before you say, Mr. Toastmaster. I only have a few seconds. Does anyone have a last second tip that they can give on this last speech? Because I don't want to take it from you. Okay, actually it was an excellent job that you did. And I wish you great luck.
Thank you, Charlie. Toni, Madonna, Gills, can we get a timer's report for our 3 evaluators?
Everyone qualifies. Sarah, 2:52, although I screwed up the time, took a little time away from you, I apologize. Stephen Morgan, 3:04, Charlie, 3:20. I need a vacation. They all qualify.
All 3 qualify, so please vote for best evaluator. I just want to make a personal note to Gloria, Cece, and Jonathan. I hope you guys paid attention. All 3 evaluators gave some really good feedback, positive things and things to do for future speeches.
Oh,
Yes.
one of the responsibilities of the timer is to watch the time of the segments of the meeting, and I want to congratulate everybody for staying on time within plus or minus 3 minutes of the agenda. You did a great job with the agenda, Roy.
That's because we were missing a key rock.
As far as the meeting in general, I have a few things that I wrote down here. First, we were almost MIA with our Toastmaster, but the stage crew filled in to prepare the room, so the meeting actually did start on time. We did start, however, without an agenda, but that was quickly remedied when the Toastmaster came on board. I think we were missing an intro for one of the speakers. Another thing is, it was brought up that maybe we should wait for all the speakers to speak before we go around and gather the votes for the feedback for the speakers, so it's only done once after the speakers. We didn't have any guests tonight, and we did have an Academy Awards moment with the hook for Gloria. So, just one thing, keep in mind when you're doing the speeches, if you need to adjust your time, we can do that before the meeting, so get with the Toastmaster, and then that way we won't go into that again. A couple things I did note. First, Gloria, you mentioned if you have extra money, give it to a nonprofit. I would recommend if you want more than 10% to actually make it to the charity, don't give it to the Clinton Foundation. And Cece, on your speech, I know sometimes we can get caught up in the moment and we misspeak a couple of words. I just want you to know, you had thought during the speech that you made a mistake, but you didn't actually make a mistake because in our house, the hamsters are responsible for the laundry. So that was a good call on that one.
That explains the wardrobe choices.
At this point, I think we can go ahead and vote for most improved Toastmaster. Then Weird Al will come around and gather.
He's coming August 10th. Who's going?
I am.
Let's do it.
I've actually seen him in concert. He was pretty kick-ass.
Oh, I've seen him twice already. We took the kids. They loved it.
Yeah.
He probably made a lot of money doing that. He's really talented in doing that. And a lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves for the things he does.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is anybody here really familiar with the Doors?
Yeah, there's one there. There's one there.
The group Doors. Let me clarify that.
A little bit. Oh.
I I had heard somewhere there's no bass player. There was no bass player in that group. That was all done with keyboards. Is that correct?
That's beyond my comprehension.
Okay. So we can't get a confirmation from Madonna on that one.
You need to collect this.
Those are my general evaluator notes. Roy, I want to commend you on your first gig as Toastmaster.
Yes.
A lot of pressure. You handled it very well with no opening act. You just came right on and took over. So kudos to you. Look forward to many more stops on your world tour there. At this point, I will call to the lectern our president, Mr. Axel Bombalier.
Thank you. Here's a list that I think would be really nice for with a couple of exceptions on officers. So I'm going to call someone out. Toni, would you, Gypsy Toni,
Madonna, please.
Madonna, would you consider being presidente? No? How about secretary?
Try that again and see if I can do it better.
Would you
Yeah,
consider
that'd
that? Okay, great. Nikki's not here.
The election's really should be next week. First
I know,
week of
that's
June,
why.
the latest, wherever it is.
I think Mickey's gonna go for vice president of education, whether she likes it or not. Although I may put her in for president. I think
Should tap her for that.
No, I asked her, but she may be a good president. Alan! You need
I
to
don't want to break anybody's hearts here. I know. I want to make sure that I can make it to these things.
Is he a member yet?
Technically, not right now.
We can't even put him in.
But you will be.
I want to make sure I can come here. I don't want to
We need your money, Ellen.
We need your money back.
Well,
But anyways, I'm gonna put you down for right now as vice president of public relations.
Oh, okay.
You're really good at that.
All right. Well, let's see.
He'll be here. He's hoping to get a job offer this week.
I'm hoping so. If I do, then I'm good.
Cece, would you like to volunteer for one of the open slots that like vice president of membership to get people to come by and help? Would you like that?
I think that's the nicest response I've ever
You're
heard.
gonna give that up, John?
Yeah, I'll be sergeant at arms.
Yes, we have John, the sergeant at arms. I think that's about it.
It is.
Well, treasurer.
Well,
Scale.
public relations.
Oh, treasurer is gonna be Gail, I'm sorry.
What?
Public relations officer is hoping to take a hiatus for a while.
Yes.
That's why I was putting Alan's name there.
That's a 2-year position.
Yeah, that's what I heard. You signed the contract, I think.
I didn't sign anything.
Have you spoken with Gail about treasurer? She'll probably continue.
Yeah, I think she said that she,
You think she's?
I talked to her just before she left. And does anyone want to volunteer to be presidente?
You need the practice, Charlie.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's that young
Charlie,
lady
one more
there?
time.
Sarah!
Hey, be a second termer like your hero.
Yeah, come on, Charlie.
Well, we'll see. If nobody else wants to throw me out, then.
I think Roy would be great.
I don't even know how to email the club. Although I was asking you for help.
I know, it kept reaching.
I know.
Did you guys eventually get my email?
Okay, we'll leave that. Do you think we should vote next week?
Well, only if you have
Supposed
a
to
full
do it in
slate.
May.
Yeah, yeah. You should bring a full slate.
So, all right,
It's actually John's responsibility.
let's do it next week then.
Fill the slate.
Speaking of votes, so I have
We will be
everybody's
picking-
votes for evaluator.
It is Phil.
Most approved.
Okay, well,
That's where he got all his names.
Who's the vote counter?
Who's the BPR?
They have the list of
We're hoping.
the awards.
Who, winners?
Yes,
But where's it on that?
before I give the final results here, do I have everybody's votes for the best evaluator and most improved speaker?
So that's the worst possible.
Did you turn yours in, Gloria?
I turned both mine in.
And I guess he had some
Twice.
Meet up, I mean, sounds basic.
2.5, 2 3/4.
Yeah.
Is there any other
I respond to it
business?
every week.
Tony, you have to have something to say, please. We need to kill some time.
It's not a travesty to finish early.
No, I know, but.
Okay, there really is a party on May 31st. You all are invited, bring your significant other, your insignificant other, your children.
Can we bring our guitars?
You can bring it. Well, there's a DJ, you know,
a DJ and
a little competition going on there.
Roy's hosting.
We'll do the hokey pokey and
And the
have a good time, and you'll be sugared out by the time you leave.
Do we get to roast you again?
You get what?
Roast you again.
Me?
Roast.
No, but you could roast my mother.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't that even be more fun? I'll roast her. I'm gonna roast her. Anybody would like to send me, well, y'all can compliment her, I'll roast her.
I just wanted to share kind of a quasi-success story with everybody. I had to speak, and I had to basically do four presentations in 3 days at a company conference a couple weeks ago. There were like 1,000 people there. A couple of them had like 7,500 people. And it was the first time I had to speak in front of large groups like that outside of my company, you know, public, I guess you would say, with microphones and all that good stuff. So I survived, and I'm still here, and I'm still employed. So thank you, everybody. Just being able to practice in this kind of environment, I think it's extremely helpful and kind of helped me be a little comfortable up there. So.
How big was the audience?
It ranged from, one was as small as maybe 15, but it was, a couple of them were 75 to 100, around that range. So it was pretty good size for me.
Is that what you were wearing?
I had holes in my jeans.
Action kids.
Roy, what do you think was the one main thing that helped you from Toastmasters being able to do the speech, if you were to pick one?
Actually, the content that I presented, I was extremely familiar with it. So with this, with table topics and, hey, sign up and give a speech, you have a week to prepare. It's when you're actually prepared and you know the content extremely well and you talk about it on the phone week after week after week, and then just getting up here in front of people to, even for a minute, helps you develop that comfort level, so it all kind of ties together. But just having to speak on your toes, and Table Topics Master might have helped me the most, because when you have the content memorized and you go from table topics and then you get up in front of people, it all kind of comes together. So
Let me ask you this.
maybe table topics.
Did you have to answer questions? Did they ask questions at the end of your speech? Did you?
They had questions, and then they sometimes interrupted in the middle to ask questions.
And how was that? Easy?
It was okay. Some of the questions were bizarre and things. One lady tripped me up a little bit, but she didn't make sense. But you hate to get tripped up in front of a room.
I guess the main thing was you had the confidence to be able to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, when you first start off with this, you know, it's not easy, and you have to have the confidence to get up and do a decent job.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, mine is not as big as his, but I did speak. My speech was actually an hour, and I practiced it, as you can tell. So, but this is the first time this happened to me. When I was speaking to the kids, and it was over. Of course, they're not Toastmasters, right? And so one girl said, and this never happened, she goes, "Boy, you're really good."
All right.
But the thing that really got me was, as I was leaving, another girl, like, she was following me. She goes, "I was 15 minutes late. I didn't get to hear everything you said. What did you say, you know, in the beginning?" I never had that happen to me, so that made me feel good. And again, I know I need to polish things up a little bit. And I want to commend you for your Toastmaster, because you did better than I did. I mean, you were just so smooth. But anyway, you know, continuing to come here, and yeah, even though I was helping out with the gavel club, you know, if you don't practice, you know, you lose it. And of course, you know, I'm a good example of that. Thank you.
Talking about the gavel club, by the way, last Thursday we had 23 members, I believe.
Wow.
in that gavel club. And they all participated in front of all their, I want to say classmates, or all the regular jail people there. And there had to be about 150, I think it was, total in there. And what they were doing, they were roasting each other, but in a nice way. They each knew that they were going to get roasted because you don't want to riot in the middle of the place, somebody get really hurt. But it really, they all were able to have the confidence, all that were in the Toastmasters class, to have the confidence, and they did an excellent job, which was really a proud thing to see how they've developed in the short span of time that they've been there. So it's really, it's a living exercise that they can see it growing. And I think we're getting more people that really enjoyed it. Do we have the awards yet?
Yes, we do.
Want to do the schedule first?
Next week's schedule, May 27th. Charlie is the Toastmaster. We have 3 speakers, Roy, Maureen, and Sarah. Table Topics Master, Alan. We only have 1 evaluator so far, Gloria. Supervisor of Elections, Toni. Maureen, Maureen, you're speaking, so you're not out of counter. You're speaking, is that right? Okay.
Awesome.
I'll do off counter.
You should evaluate, dear.
Okay, I'll evaluate.
Is anybody else interested in speaking?
Marion, Cece, Timer, Gale.
I'm speaking.
Are you already speaking?
Yeah, there's 3.
Sarah, Maureen, and Roy.
Yeah, does anybody else want to speak next week?
Yeah,
Why don't you speak, Roy?
You do want to speak?
Yes, yeah.
So I'll move back a week because actually
Okay, thanks.
preparing for this took more time than I thought, so I didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to start at all. So.
Will you evaluate?
Huh.
You ready? Yeah? You're ready.
Sure.
Thanks. Okay. Who gets this?
Let me have, because I'm going to be the
Because you're
first.
going to send an email out?
Yes, I'll have my buddies over there. No.
Do you have a second afterwards? Do you have a second afterwards?
Okay, it is time.
All right.
Smile on your faces. Big Chastain Award, which you all know what it is already. And to show you an example of someone that really tried hard for the first time that did this. And even though lightning and the storm and all the accidents that stopped them from being here on time, this award goes to Roy Whitty.
Excuse me, Charlie. You didn't try hard. You nailed it!
Best table topics goes to the one and only Alan Lampier. Most improved award goes to Roy Whitty.
I like beautiful.
Improvise.
Best Evaluator Award, Mr. Stephen Morgan. And Speaker Award. John Dunn. Ladies and gentlemen, meeting adjourned.
I'll take functionary reports.